Ladies and gentlemen, time is the most valuable asset we possess. It is more precious than money because money can be earned, lost, and regained, but time is a one-way street. Once spent, it is gone forever. The irony is that, despite its value, time is often taken for granted. We live as if there will always be more of it, as if tomorrow is guaranteed, yet we know deep down that our days are limited. The clock is always ticking, each second a reminder that our lives are finite. When we fail to grasp this, we risk falling into the trap of complacency. We put off dreams, delay plans, and assume that there will always be a better day to start living fully. The truth is, there may not be a someday. There is only today. Many of us are conditioned to think of time in large, abstract quantities, years, decades, a lifetime. But in reality, time is a collection of small, fleeting moments. Each hour, each minute, each breath is a piece of that precious, irreplaceable resource. When we see time through this lens, the importance of using it wisely becomes clearer. Yet, we often act as though time is endless. We convince ourselves that the time to pursue our true passions, to mend broken relationships, or to take a leap towards something greater will always be there. We say, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year. Before we know it, entire seasons of life have passed by and the opportunities that once seemed abundant have quietly slipped away. Reflect on how you spend your days. How much of it is filled with intention, purpose, and effort? How much of it is lost to distractions, to scrolling through screens, to habits that add no value to your growth? Imagine a day when you wake up and realize that all those tomorrows you counted on are now yesterdays, beyond your reach. Would you look back with satisfaction knowing that you seized the time given to you? Or would you be burdened with regret for the moments you let slip away? Regret is a heavy weight, especially when it comes to time. Unlike other mistakes in life, time wasted cannot be corrected. You can rebuild finances, repair relationships, and regain lost health, but you cannot reclaim time that is gone. Many people who reach the later stages of their lives do not regret the risks they took. They regret the ones they avoided. They don't mourn the failures they faced, they mourn the dreams they never pursued. The fear of failure, of rejection, or of discomfort may hold us back in the present, but it is the weight of regret that lingers the longest. Yet recognizing the value of time is not about living in a state of panic or constant urgency. It's about cultivating awareness. It's about understanding that every moment is a choice, a chance to either build a life of purpose or let it slip through our fingers. Being intentional with your time does not mean filling every second with productivity or accomplishment. It means aligning your actions with what truly matters to you. It means cutting out the trivial and focusing on the meaningful. It means dedicating time to growth, connection, and purpose rather than sinking into endless distractions. The most impactful lives are not necessarily the longest ones. They are the ones lived with intention, courage, and clarity. When you value your time, you guard it fiercely. You set boundaries to protect it. You prioritize what aligns with your values, and you refuse to let it be drained by negativity or meaningless pursuits. This doesn't mean there isn't room for rest or joy. In fact, embracing the value of time enhances those moments. It means understanding that each day is a gift, a chance to create memories, make progress, and impact the world around you. Imagine your life as a book, each day a page. What kind of story are you writing? Is it a tale of growth, adventure, and purpose? Or is it a story left unfinished, chapters of hesitation and regret? Realizing the value of time means embracing the fact that the pen is in your hand and each choice you make shapes the narrative. If there are parts of your story you're not proud of, there's still time to rewrite them. But that time is not infinite. Time is not something to be feared, but it must be respected. It is a reminder that our days are numbered and that our lives are precious. To live as though time is unlimited is to live an illusion. To embrace time's value is to awaken to the reality that each moment is a chance to live fully and without reservation. Choose to live in a way that when the end does come, you can look back and know that your time was not wasted, that you lived not just in existence, but with intention, purpose, and heart. Waiting for the right time is a mindset trap that catches many. We convince ourselves that there will be a perfect moment, a time when everything aligns, when all fears dissolve, and when the path forward is so clear that there's no room for uncertainty. We think, once I have more experience, or once I'm more confident, or once the circumstances are better, Then I'll take that step, pursue that dream, or make that change. But the reality is, this perfect moment almost never arrives. The idea of the right time is a comforting illusion, a mirage that keeps us stuck in a cycle of hesitation and inaction. When you wait for the right time, what are you really waiting for? Are you hoping for a guarantee of success, a promise that there will be no pain, no failure, no struggle? Life doesn't offer guarantees, and if you wait for certainty, you'll find yourself waiting forever. The truth is, the right time to act rarely appears as a signal, it appears as a choice. It is a decision to act in spite of fear, uncertainty, and imperfection. Action is what creates momentum. It is the small steps taken consistently, even when conditions are not ideal, that lead to growth and progress. Many people reach the end of their lives not regretting the risks they took, but regretting the chances they let slip away. They think of the dreams they never pursued, the relationships they never mended, the paths they never explored, all because they were waiting for that elusive right time. When we sit idle, waiting for perfection, time slips through our fingers. Weeks turn to months, months to years, and opportunities fade away. Fear masquerading as patience can steal the most precious resource we have, time. Fear is often the root of waiting. We fear failure, rejection, and the unknown. We fear stepping out of our comfort zones and facing potential disappointment. Yet fear will always exist, no matter how much we prepare. It never completely vanishes. Waiting for the right time often means waiting for fear to disappear, which it won't. What if instead of avoiding fear, we learn to live alongside it, to take action despite it? But if we recognize that fear is not a signal to stop, but a sign that we are growing and pushing into uncharted territory, when we postpone action, we trade the pain of effort and risk for the pain of regret. Effort and risk are temporary. They sting, they challenge, but they pass. Regret, however, lingers. It is the haunting thought of what if that echoes in quiet moments. It's the knowledge that you could have done more, that you could have tried, but you didn't because you were waiting for a time that never came. We also tend to believe that there is an ideal version of ourselves that we need to become before we can act. We think we need to be more skilled, more confident, more capable. But growth does not happen in the waiting. It happens in the doing. It happens when we step forward, not knowing if we will succeed, but willing to learn from the experience regardless. Growth comes through mistakes, through failures, through getting back up after falling. The idea that we need to be perfect before we can begin is a myth. It is an excuse disguised as a standard. The right time is not when you feel completely ready. It is when you decide to take a step, however imperfectly. Every moment you spend waiting is a moment lost. Imagine if the energy you spent preparing to prepare, analyzing every possibility and waiting for certainty was channeled into action. Imagine if instead of delaying, you started with what you have, where you are, even if it felt messy and uncertain. What could you achieve if you allowed yourself to be a beginner, to take imperfect action, and to embrace the process of learning as you go? When you look at those who achieve what seems impossible, it's not because they had better timing, it's because they acted despite the timing. They embraced the discomfort of the unknown, the awkwardness of imperfection, and the possibility of failure. They didn't wait for permission, for conditions to be ideal, or for their fears to vanish. They moved forward, stumbled, learned, and adjusted. They grew stronger and more capable, not because they started perfectly, but because they started. There is a saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. If you've been waiting for the right time, consider that today is as right a time as any. Conditions may not be ideal, but they never will be. You will never have all the answers before you begin. There will always be uncertainty, but action, even imperfect action, is better than hesitation. Progress is better than stagnation. Ultimately, there is no right time. There is only now. Now is the moment that you can control. Now is when you can make a decision, take a step, face your fear, and begin. Now is when you stop waiting for the perfect opportunity and start creating opportunities through your actions. Don't let the fear of imperfection or the myth of the right time rob you of a life lived fully and courageously. The right time will never come unless you decide that it is right now. Taking responsibility for your life is a powerful but often uncomfortable truth. It means recognizing that your actions, decisions, and attitudes largely determine the course of your life. While circumstances beyond our control certainly influence us, Where we are born, the challenges we face, the losses we endure, the way we respond to those circumstances shapes who we become and what we achieve. Many people spend their lives deflecting responsibility, blaming others for their struggles, and making excuses for their inaction. While it may be easier to point fingers and externalize blame, doing so surrenders control. It reinforces the belief that life happens to you rather than through your choices. Taking responsibility is not about self-blame or harsh self-criticism. It's about empowerment. It's about recognizing that while you cannot always control what happens, you can control how you respond, adapt, and grow. Every day you make choices, from the small and seemingly insignificant to the profound and life-altering. These choices accumulate, shaping your habits, relationships, career, and overall sense of purpose. If you consistently choose to avoid challenges, to procrastinate, to remain in your comfort zone, then the outcome of those choices will reflect that. If you choose to act with courage, to face difficulties head-on, to learn and grow, then your life will mirror that strength. Blaming others for where you are today may feel comforting in the moment, but it keeps you trapped. It prevents you from embracing the power you have to change. When you take responsibility, you acknowledge your role in your circumstances, and that acknowledgement is the first step toward meaningful change. It is easy to believe that our problems are caused by external forces, our upbringing, our environment, the people around us. While these factors are real and impactful, they do not remove your power to choose. Even in the most difficult situations, you have a choice. The choice to persevere, to seek growth, to refuse to be defined by your circumstances. There are countless examples of people who have risen above extreme hardship, who have faced overwhelming odds, and yet found a way to take control of their lives. These people are not exceptions because they had a greater willpower or strength. They made a conscious decision to take responsibility, to refuse to be victims of their circumstances. When you choose to take responsibility, you stop relying on others to save you. You stop waiting for someone to fix your problems or to give you permission to live your life fully. You stop waiting for ideal circumstances and start creating your own opportunities. This doesn't mean that help from others is unnecessary or that support is unimportant. It means understanding that ultimately your growth, progress, and fulfillment are your responsibility. Waiting for someone else to change your life is a passive existence. The moment you take ownership is the moment you reclaim your power. Responsibility also means owning your mistakes. Everyone makes them. Everyone experiences failure, regret, and disappointment. The difference lies in how we handle those mistakes. Do you deny them, rationalize them, or blame others? Or do you face them, learn from them, and commit to improving? Owning your mistakes is not about guilt or self-punishment. It is about understanding that your actions have consequences and that growth requires humility. It is about accepting that mistakes are part of the process, not a reflection of your worth. When you embrace mistakes as lessons, you grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Taking responsibility does not mean taking on blame for things beyond your control. It does not mean internalizing guilt for every setback or assuming responsibility for the choices of others. It means focusing on what you can influence. Your thoughts, actions, and reactions. It means recognizing that while you cannot change the past, you can change how you move forward. When you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as an active participant in your life, you shift from a mindset of helplessness to one of possibility. This mindset shift can be uncomfortable. It requires confronting parts of yourself you may prefer to ignore. It requires facing your fears, admitting your flaws, and accepting that there are no shortcuts or easy answers. It demands courage to acknowledge that where you are now is a result of your choices, but it also empowers you to realize that where you go from here is up to you. If there are areas of your life that you are not proud of, that you feel frustrated with or defeated by, taking responsibility means acknowledging that change begins with you. Imagine a life where you fully accept responsibility for your actions, your growth, and your future. Imagine what you could achieve if you stopped blaming circumstances or waiting for the right time and started acting with purpose. Imagine the freedom that comes from no longer being weighed down by excuses or self-pity. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the key to liberation. It is the understanding that while the world can be unpredictable and unfair, you still have the power to choose your path. When you take responsibility, you become the author of your story. You stop living as a passive character shaped by the decisions of others or the randomness of circumstance and start writing your narrative with intention. You own your past, your mistakes, your successes, and your failures. You understand that the path forward is in your hands. You may not control every event in your life, but you control your response, your growth, and your commitment to living fully. Taking responsibility is not a single choice, but a series of choices made daily. It is an ongoing practice of self-awareness, courage, and resilience. It is the path to a life of purpose and fulfillment. Distractions and escapism are two of the most subtle yet powerful thieves of time and potential. In today's world, we are surrounded by distractions that constantly vie for our attention. Social media notifications, streaming platforms, endless entertainment options, and the constant bombardment of information. It's never been easier to escape reality, to numb our thoughts, and to procrastinate. The temptation to avoid discomfort or responsibility is strong because the alternatives are so accessible. Why confront difficult emotions when you can scroll through a feed for hours? Why take on a challenging task when a show can offer immediate, effortless pleasure? Yet, behind this immediate gratification lies a silent consequence: wasted time, lost potential, and a life not fully lived. Distractions are not inherently negative. Some distractions can be refreshing, a break that allows the mind to rest and recharge. The issue arises when distractions become our default, when they become a means to avoid what matters most. It's not just about scrolling for a few minutes, it's about using distractions as a coping mechanism to avoid facing reality, difficult tasks, or personal growth. Escapism can feel harmless, even justified. After all, life can be stressful, overwhelming, and uncertain. Who doesn't want to break from that? However, when we consistently turn to distractions to escape our feelings or responsibilities, we unintentionally surrender our power. We become spectators of our own lives, watching time slip away rather than actively participating in the moments that matter. Consider the hours spent mindlessly browsing online, playing video games to the point of numbness, binge-watching shows until the early hours of the morning, or drowning in endless online debates that lead nowhere. While these activities can be enjoyable in moderation, they often become habits of avoidance. The irony is that while we use these distractions to escape stress or anxiety, they often leave us feeling emptier. The problems we sought to avoid remain, but now we have less time and energy to confront them. The work we put off still needs to be done, and the issues we avoid still need addressing. The temporary relief of escapism is soon replaced by the guilt of avoidance. Escapism can take many forms. Some turn to social media to compare their lives with carefully curated highlight reels. Others lose themselves in video games, experiencing victories in virtual worlds while feeling stagnant in their real lives. Some escape through shopping, constantly seeking the rush of a new purchase to fill a void. While these behaviors may provide a sense of control or temporary happiness, they often leave a lingering sense of dissatisfaction. We avoid our reality because it feels difficult or unfulfilling, yet the more we escape, the less we engage with the real world. The cycle perpetuates, and we become further distanced from our goals and true potential. Escapism often stems from fear. Fear of failure, fear of inadequacy, fear of discomfort. When faced with a difficult decision, a challenging project, or a dream that seems just out of reach, it's easier to distract ourselves than to take action. It's easier to retreat into a screen than to face the vulnerability of pursuing something meaningful. Yet true growth and fulfillment come from leaning into that discomfort, from facing our fears rather than avoiding them. Growth requires effort, and effort is uncomfortable. But discomfort is a sign of progress, a sign that we are pushing beyond our limits. Every time we choose to confront reality rather than escape it, we build resilience. We become stronger, more capable, and more confident. Living a life dominated by distractions and escapism prevents us from experiencing genuine fulfillment. True joy, purpose, and satisfaction come from meaningful work, deep connections, and pursuing our true passions. These things require effort, patience, and vulnerability, but they also bring lasting fulfillment. When we avoid discomfort through escapism, we deny ourselves the opportunity to experience the richness of life. We trade meaningful achievements for momentary distractions. We trade genuine connection for superficial interactions. We trade long-term growth for short-term gratification. To break free from distractions and escapism, we must cultivate awareness. We need to recognize when we are avoiding reality and ask ourselves, why? What are we running from? What are we afraid to face? What are we neglecting while we lose ourselves in distractions? Awareness is the first step toward reclaiming our time and our lives. Once we become aware, we can make intentional choices. We can set boundaries with our devices, limit our screen time, and prioritize tasks that bring genuine value to our lives. We can seek healthy ways to cope with stress, exercise, journaling, talking to a friend, rather than defaulting to escapism. It is not about eliminating all forms of entertainment or relaxation. It is about being mindful and intentional. It's about making choices that align with our values and long-term goals rather than succumbing to the easy allure of distraction. It's about using our time purposefully, investing in activities that enrich our lives, challenge our minds, and deepen our relationships. Imagine looking back on your life, realizing that you had the power to create, to learn, to connect, to grow, but you chose to escape instead. Imagine the regret of knowing that your potential remained untapped, not because you lacked ability, but because you avoided discomfort. Distractions and escapism may offer immediate relief, but they rob us of the deeper satisfaction that comes from living fully present and fully engaged. When you choose to confront reality, to face your challenges rather than avoid them, you reclaim your time and your power. You take control of your life, making choices that lead to growth rather than stagnation. Each moment you spend intentionally rather than mindlessly brings you closer to the person you aspire to become. Each decision to act rather than escape is a step toward a more meaningful, purposeful life. Embrace the discomfort, face reality, and choose to live fully present. Choose growth over escape. Living life with discipline is often misunderstood. Many see it as rigid, joyless, or a restriction on personal freedom. Yet, when understood and embraced correctly, discipline is not a prison. It is a pathway to freedom. True discipline is not about punishing yourself or adhering to strict, joyless routines. It is about aligning your actions with your values, creating consistency, and committing to growth even when motivation wanes. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and their realization, between your dreams and their fulfillment. Without it, intentions remain unfulfilled and potential remains unrealized. Discipline often begins with small, seemingly insignificant decisions. It's the choice to wake up early, even when you'd rather sleep in. It's the decision to work on a difficult project instead of scrolling through social media. It's the commitment to take care of your health through exercise and proper nutrition, even when it's tempting to indulge in comfort. Each of these choices, while small on their own, accumulates over time. They build habits that shape your character, strengthen your will, and create momentum. Discipline is not a single act, but a series of intentional decisions made consistently. Many people wait for motivation to take action. They wait for the surge of inspiration or the perfect circumstances to begin. But motivation is fleeting. It ebbs and flows, comes and goes. If you rely solely on motivation to achieve your goals, you will find yourself constantly starting over, continually frustrated by inconsistency. Discipline, on the other hand, does not rely on feelings. It is a commitment that stands firm even when motivation fades. Discipline is the choice to act regardless of mood, regardless of circumstances. It is the recognition that your goals and your growth are worth the discomfort of effort. Discipline also means prioritizing long-term gain over short-term gratification. It is easy to choose comfort in the moment, to skip the workout, to procrastinate on a challenging task, to indulge in distractions. These choices offer immediate relief, but they often lead to regret. Discipline requires the strength to delay gratification, to endure discomfort for a greater purpose. It requires seeing beyond the present moment and understanding that true fulfillment comes from dedication and perseverance. The temporary discomfort of discipline is far outweighed by the lasting satisfaction of accomplishment. Living with discipline also means holding yourself accountable. It means being honest about your effort, your consistency, and your commitment. It means not making excuses for why you didn't show up for yourself, why you avoided the hard work, or why you let distractions pull you away from what truly matters. Accountability can be difficult because it requires humility. It requires acknowledging when you fall short, owning your mistakes, and making the necessary adjustments. Accountability is not about shame or self-criticism. It is about growth. When you hold yourself accountable, you empower yourself to learn, adapt, and improve. Discipline is not about perfection. It is not about rigidly adhering to an unrealistic standard. It is about resilience. There will be days when you falter, when motivation is absent, and when mistakes are made. Discipline is not destroyed by these moments. It is strengthened by how you respond to them. If you miss a workout, if you slip into procrastination, if you indulge in distractions, discipline is the choice to get back on track. It is the decision to start again, to recommit and to keep moving forward. Failure is not the end of discipline. Quitting is. Living a disciplined life does not mean eliminating joy or pleasure. It means finding balance. Knowing when to rest and when to push, when to indulge and when to restrain. Discipline is not about deprivation, it is about intentionality. It is about making choices that align with your values, your goals, and your growth. It is about living with purpose rather than being controlled by impulses. When you live with discipline, you gain a deeper sense of satisfaction because your actions are deliberate and aligned with who you want to become. The benefits of discipline extend beyond personal achievement. Discipline cultivates self-respect because it shows that you value yourself enough to commit to your growth. It builds confidence because you prove to yourself that you can follow through, even when it's difficult. It fosters trust because others can rely on you to be consistent, responsible, and accountable. Discipline also creates a sense of peace because it brings order to your life. When you live without discipline, chaos reigns. Procrastination, regret, inconsistency, and frustration. Discipline creates structure, clarity, and focus, allowing you to navigate challenges with steadiness. Discipline is not a trait reserved for the strong-willed or the exceptionally driven. It is a skill that can be developed through practice and intention. Start small, create one habit that aligns with your goals, and commit to it daily. Wake up a bit earlier, set aside time for focused work, limit distractions, or prioritize physical activity. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you build resilience. Each time you show up for yourself, you strengthen your character. Over time, discipline becomes part of your identity, not something you force, but something you embody. Imagine the life you could build if discipline guided your decisions. Imagine the goals you could achieve, the skills you could develop, the strength you could cultivate. Imagine the satisfaction of knowing that you lived intentionally, that you didn't waste your potential, that you chose growth over comfort. Discipline is not a sacrifice. It is an investment in your future. It is the key to living a life of purpose, fulfillment, and freedom. Living with discipline is a choice. It is not easy, but it is worth it. It is not immediate, but it is lasting. It is not glamorous, but it is transformative. When you choose discipline, you choose growth. You choose to live intentionally rather than reactively. You choose to pursue your goals rather than surrender to distractions. Discipline is the foundation upon which a meaningful life is built. It is the path to becoming the person you aspire to be, not by chance, but by choice.